AXN Limited invited applications for issuing 1 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each at a premium of rupees 6 per share. Application rupees 4 plus 2 rupees premium. Allotment rupees 5, 2 rupee premium. First call rupee 4, 2 plus rupee 2 premium, and the balance on the final call. Issue was fully subscribed. Kumar, the holder of 400 shares, did not pay the allotment money, and Ravi, the holder of 1000 shares, did not pay the entire share money along with the allotment money. Kumar's shares were forfeited immediately after allotment. Afterwards, the first call was made. Gupta, a holder of 300 shares, failed to pay the first call money, and Gopal, a holder of 600 shares, paid the second call money along with the first call. Gupta's share were forfeited immediately after the first call. Second and final call was made afterwards. The whole amount due on the second call was received. All the forfeited shares were reissued at rupees 9 per share. You have to pass necessary journal entries for the above transactions. Now, application, you have rupees 4. Allotment, you have rupees 5. First call, you have rupees 4. Final call is missing. This is 2 plus 2. This is 3 plus 2. This is 2 plus 2. This gives you a total of rupees 7. That means the final call includes rupees 3. Now, at the very same time, I will do some analysis over here. Kumar, he did not pay the allotment money. Ravi, he paid all amount with allotment, and he is holding 1000 shares. You have Gupta, who has 300 shares. First call he did not pay, and you also have Gopal, who paid second call along with first call, right? He has 600 shares, right? His shares and his shares were forfeited because they were the calls in arrears, and they all were reissued at rupees 9, fully paid up. Perfect. Let's move on. The first journal entry that will be passed will be bank account debit to equity share application account. The amount to be paid will be 1 lakh rupees into 4. That would be 4 lakh rupees. Being application money received. Now, application is a very simple entry because there is no adjustment to be made. So the next entry will be equity share application account debit to equity share capital account. Since there is no refund, because it's not a question of pro rata, it's a question of full subscription. So it's a very simple question. There you are, 1 lakh into 4, that gives you 4 lakh, 2 lakhs and 2 lakhs, right? being amount transferred to share capital. Now comes the important entry, that is the third entry, wherein you are going to first due the amount. Equity share allotment account debit, equity share capital account to security premium. This entry also you don't have to do any calculation, you can straightforward calculate it. This is 1 lakh into 5, this is 1 lakh into 3, this is 1 lakh into 2. So this is 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs and 2 lakhs. A bit easy segment till here. Now we are moving on to the fourth entry, that is bank account debit, the amount to be received. Right now I am not writing the entry because since there has been a lot of work to be done in this particular entry, so I will first prepare the working note for it. So here I am preparing the first working note for this question, that is calculation of amount received on allotment. Right now, amount due to receive, amount due to receive is the same that we have just calculated, 1 lakh into 5, that is 5 lakh rupees. This is what we were supposed to receive. Right now, since there is no pro rata, we are just going to subtract jo nahi mila and we are going to simply add jo mil gaya. First of all, let's add jo mil gaya hame. We got Ravi's first call and second call, the final call amounts. On 1000 shares we received 4 rupees, on 1000 shares we received 3 rupees. That means in totality we have received 4000 and 3000, a total of 7000 on account of Ravi. That is my calls in advance. Then on account of Kumar I have not received any amount, that is for 400 shares I have not received, so that comes out to be 2000. I can simply write over here. Right, that's it. That means the amount received by me is in totality is 5,05,000. Right, now with this working note, we were supposed to receive 5 lakh, but we received 5,05,000. We did not receive 2000, but we did receive 7,000, being allotment money received. I hope it's quite a simple question. Abhi tak there has been no issues. The question clearly says that Kumar's shares were forfeited immediately after the allotment. That means now we have to forfeit Kumar's 400 shares. So equity share capital account debit, security premium account debit to share forfeiture 2 calls in arrear, being 400 shares of Kumar forfeited. Right? So let's calculate the amount. The called up capital is 5, so it will be 400 into 5. 2 rupees premium has already been paid. 2 rupees premium has not been paid, so it will be recorded. So it comes out to be 800. Calls in arrear, we just calculated the amount here. We just calculated the amount over here in this working note. So it's 2000. So we can put it straightforward on account of Kumar. The balancing figure we have received on application, right? So if you want to calculate this figure, you can calculate it by saying 400 into 2 rupees. Since in this question 2 rupees was the capital amount and 2 rupees was the premium, so 2 rupees premium will be ignored because this is already received in cash. 2 rupees will be recorded for the forfeiture. I hope we are clear with this journal entry. Moving on to the next journal entry, we'll move on to the next, that is 6th journal entry. That will be for the entry of first call. Equity share first call account debit to equity share capital account to security premium account. Amount will be 99,400 into the amount is 4. 99,400. Now you need to 600 into 4 rupees. Now you need to remember very clearly that since 400 shares have now been forfeited, so now we have to receive and due only in relation to 99,600. Right? So this comes out to be 1,99,200 each. Right? So this is 99,600 into 2. The same way 99,600 into 2. Being first call amount due. The 7th entry, before actually writing it, we are going to make the working note. Right? So the working note says calculation of amount received on first call. Amount due to receive. Now we have an amount due to receive, that is 3,98,400. Again, like above, we will first add what is yet to, what is not received, and we will subtract what is received. We'll go back to our analysis. In our analysis, we have made Gupta 300 shares, first call not paid. What we are going to do, we are going to subtract Gupta's share 300 into 4. That comes out to be 1200. And also we are going to add up Gopal's second call. उसने second call का पैसा 600 shares में अभी ही दे दिया. So second call is for 3 rupees. So we are going to receive this amount of Gopal. 600 into 3, that comes out to be 1800. We have received. Yes, Ravi has already paid his amount in allotment. So we are going to subtract this amount of Ravi, because this amount is already included in this amount, this figure. So we need to subtract it. So hence we get a total 3,95,000. That is to be received, the amount to be received. Bank account debit. Over here, bank account debit. I'm going to receive 3,95,000. Here, to equity share first call, I was supposed to receive 3,98,400. So here we are writing up the seventh entry. The seventh entry is bank account debit. We are supposed to receive 3,95,000 against what was due, 3,98,400. Right? Now, first thing that we are going to adjust out here is calls in arrear. That is of calls in arrear, that is of 1,200. The second thing that we are going to adjust out here is calls in advance. Right? Now calls in advance, how are we going to calculate the calls in advance? We know that 4,000 have already been received, an additional of 1,800. So we are going to find out the balance of the two, that means 2,200. That is what we have to adjust back, being amount received on first call. I hope you are clear till this point. Now it clearly says that we need to forfeit, what's his name, Gupta's equity shares. So we are going to first equity share capital account debit, security premium account debit, to share forfeiture, to calls in arrear. Right? This is going to be 300 into, now for the first call it's going to be 2, 3 and 7. So it's going to be 300 into 7, that is 2,100. This is going to be 600, 300 into 2, because this 2 and this 2 has already been received, so we are going to ignore. This 2 has not been received, so we are going to take into impact. Calls in arrear we just calculated in the before entry, that comes out to be 1,200. So the balancing figure of 1,500, which can also be calculated as 300 into 2 plus 3, that is 5, 1,500, being 300 shares forfeited. Right? The next is going to be passing on the second call, equity share second call account debit to equity share capital account. In this particular we don't have a security premium, so we are going to being amount due. Now it's going to be 400 and 300, 700, that means 99,300 into 3. Right? So the figure is 2,97,900. 2,97,900. Now bank account debit, calls in advance account debit, since हमें कुछ पैसा already मिल चुका है, to equity share final call account, right? So we are supposed to receive 2,97,900. Now we have already received 1,800 on account of Gopal, and we have received 3,000 on account of Ravi. So in totality we have already received 4,800. So our work will be simply to find out the value, that is 2,93,100 being amount received. I hope we are clear till this point. Being amount received on final call, right? Now after this we need to do the reissue segment. We need to reissue the shares of Gupta and Kumar, right? So at 9 rupees, so bank account debit, share forfeiture account debit, to equity share capital account. Now the question clearly says that you have received a total of 9 rupees, so you have received 6,300. 700 is what you have to take out from the share forfeiture balance, being 700 forfeited shares reissued, right? Last but not the least, we need to pass the journal entry for capital reserve, that is share forfeiture account debit to capital reserve, being amount transferred. Now this amount will be, as you can see, my first forfeiture was here, this amount was 800, and the second forfeiture was over here, it was over here, 1,500. So the amount comes out to be 800 plus 1,500 minus 700. So it comes out to be 1,600. Right? So this was question number 17 का first part. Excel Limited invited applications for issuing 1 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each. The amount was payable as follows. Application 3, allotment 4, first and final call 3. Straightforward, no premium, nothing. The issue was oversubscribed by 3 times. That means 1 lakh पे हमें 3 lakh shares के applications receive हुई. Applications for 20% shares were rejected. 3 lakh का 20%, that means 60,000 is strictly rejected. 60,000 को हमने simply zero कर दिया, reject कर दिया, right? And their money was refunded. Allotment made to the remaining applicants was as follows. पहली category 1,60,000 को हमने दिए 80,000 shares और 80,000 shares को हमने दिए 20,000 shares. Excess money received with applications was adjusted towards sum due on allotment and first and final call, right? All calls were made and were duly received except for the final call, by a shareholder belonging to category 1 who had applied for 320 shares. उसने 320 shares के लिए apply किया था. His shares were forfeited. The forfeited shares were reissued at rupees 15 per share. मतलब 5 rupees के premium पे issue हो गया, reissue हुआ. You have to pass necessary journal entries for the above transactions. Open calls in arrear and calls in advance account whenever required. That means हमें calls in arrear या calls in advance open करना है जब भी required है, right? So let's start solving this question. Now this question has a small trick because of just this single line. इस लाइन के वजह से एक छोटा सा ट्रिक आ गया इस क्वेश्चन में, right? Let's start solving it. Before we actually start solving it, I want to simply analyze the question, right? I'll just do a small analysis of the question, right? This is I do for every share based chapter question. I do this analysis. Application ₹3, allotment ₹4, and first and final call it's ₹3. So total comes out to be ₹10. No premium, no discount. No premium, no discount. Right? We got a total applications for 3 lakh shares who were allotted 1 lakh shares, right? 60,000 were allotted nil, right? The first category is 1,60,000 wherein they were allotted 80,000 shares, and the second category 80,000 shares they were allotted 20,000 shares. So the totaling matches. That means there has been no hidden. कोई hidden category नहीं है इस particular case में. Now I hope we are clear till this part. यहाँ तक कोई problem नहीं है किसी को भी, right? One shareholder was there. One no name is not there mentioned. एक shareholder है जिसने अप्लाई किया है 320 शेयर्स के लिए कैटेगरी 1 में. दैट मीन्स उसको अलॉट कितने शेयर्स हुए हैं? 320 इंटू 80/160. सो उसे अलॉट हुए हैं 160 शेयर्स. आई होप यहाँ तक कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है किसी को, राइट? यहाँ तक किसी को भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. नाउ उसने फर्स्ट कॉल की पेमेंट नहीं करी, राइट? उसने फर्स्ट कॉल की पेमेंट नहीं करी है and so his shares were forfeited. I hope we are on the same page till time. Let's start with the journal. XL Limited. Before we actually begin, just give me I will make up one small analysis with you. Here 80,000 shareholders are receiving 20,000 shares. That means उन्होंने टोटल में पेमेंट करी थी 80,000 इंटू 3 की. That means उन्होंने टोटल में पेमेंट करी थी 2,40,000 की और उन्हें रिसीव हुए हैं 20,000 शेयर्स. दैट मीन्स अगर वो टोटल पेमेंट करेंगे तो वो 2 लाख रुपए की होगी. दैट मीन्स 40,000 अमाउंट इज़ टू बी रिफंडेड. ये अमाउंट भी हम रिफंड करेंगे बिकॉज ये हमने एक्सेस रिसीव कर लिया है ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी, राइट? हम इसकी कैलकुलेशन अभी प्रॉपर्ली शो भी करेंगे, राइट? दिस इज़ द केस, राइट? अगर आपको याद होगा कॉन्सेप्ट्स में हमने बताया था अगर ये डिफरेंस 50% या 50% से ज़्यादा होता है तो हम एक चेकिंग करते हैं. दिस इज़ द चेकिंग वी डू, राइट? सो लेट्स डू द फर्स्ट journal entry. Bank account debit to equity share application account, being application amount received. Now we have received applications for 3 lakh shares, so 3 lakhs into 3, that means we have received 9 lakh rupees. Now further we have to adjust this amount into further accounts. Equity share application account debit to equity share capital account, there is no premium, no discount, to बैंक जो refund होगा, to calls in arrear. Oh my god, ये क्या हुआ? प्लीज़ नोट, अगर आपने इस कॉल्स इन अरियर की जगह पर अगर आपने वर्ड लिखा इक्विटी शेयर अलॉटमेंट या इक्विटी शेयर फर्स्ट कॉल, तो आपके मार्क्स काट लिए जाएंगे. Why is this happening? Because of this single line that was stated in your paper that अगर जहाँ जहाँ पर ज़रूरी है वहाँ पर आपको कॉल्स इन अरियर और कॉल्स इन एडवांस का अकाउंट खोलना है, राइट. सो दिस इज़ वेयर फंडामेंटली अ स्टूडेंट कैन गो रॉन्ग, राइट. और यही रीज़न होता है जब आप क्वेश्चन ढंग से नहीं पढ़ते हो. सो 9 लाख इज़ गोइंग टू बी द अमाउंट. इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल में तो 1 लाख इंटू 3 ही आएगा, राइट. So that comes out to be 3 lakh rupees. We know how much we are refunding. We are refunding 60,000 into 3 plus this 40,000 that we have calculated above. Right? Plus 40,000 that we have calculated above. That means it comes out to be 1,60,000 into 3 plus 40,000. So that comes out to be 2,20,000. Now further, I can find out the balancing figure in this particular case for calls in advance. That comes out to be 3,80,000 rupees, being amount on application transferred to share capital account. On to the third entry. The third entry says equity share allotment account debit to equity share capital account. 1 lakh into 4. 4 lakh rupees is what I am supposed to receive, right? Being allotment amount due. Now, before I pass on this fourth entry, what I am going to do is I am going to make out the working note and calculate the amount to be received on allotment. So I'll make out the first working note of this part. Calculation of amount on allotment received on allotment, right. So amount due to receive, मेरा amount due है 4 lakh rupees, right. Clearly in the question we just calculated कि we have to receive 4 lakh rupees on account of allotment, right. जिसमें से सबसे पहले हम माइनस कर देंगे एक्सेस ऑलरेडी रिसीव्ड. जो हमने एक्सेस ऑलरेडी रिसीव किया हुआ है वो माइनस कर देंगे, राइट. एक्सेस निकालने का बेस्ट तरीका, सिंपल तरीका, अगर आप देख सकते हो कैटेगरी वन में वी हैव रिसीव्ड 160 into 3, 1,60,000 into 3, that means we have received 4,80,000, right. जिसमें से 80,000 into 3 we have already used, 2,40,000 we have already used. That means now we are left with 2,40,000, right. Now what we are left with is remaining 2,40,000. मुझे allotment में 80,000 के हिसाब से ₹4 के हिसाब से 3,20,000 रुपीज़ रिसीव करने थे. दैट मीन्स ये पूरा का पूरा 240 इज इन रिगार्ड टू अलॉटमेंट, राइट. तो मैं यहाँ पे क्लियरली लिख सकता हूँ पहला केस 2,40,000, राइट. नाउ कमिंग ऑन टू द सेकेंड केस. सेकेंड केस में मैंने टोटल में रिसीव किया था 2,40,000 रुपीज़, राइट. मेरे को जो मिल गए हैं वो मेरे को ₹10 के हिसाब से मिल गए हैं. तो मैं 20,000 इंटू 4 कर दूंगा तो 80,000 रुपये मुझे और एडिशन में है. 20,000 इंटू 4 that I can utilize for this particular segment, right. So again I can subtract. This is for category 1, this is excess already received in case of category 2, that is 80,000 rupees, right. ये कैसे निकाला मैंने? 20,000 इंटू 4 और ये कैसे निकाला? 80,000 इंटू 3. So this makes it a total of 80,000 which is yet to be received. 80,000 मुझे अभी भी रिसीव करने बाकी हैं, राइट. जो मैं रिसीव कर लूँगा सिंस एवरीथिंग हैज़ बीन रिसीव्ड. बाकी का सारा अमाउंट मैंने रिसीव कर लिया है. सो बैंक अकाउंट डेबिट, राइट. कॉल्स इन एडवांस अकाउंट डेबिट to equity share allotment account. So I will receive 80,000 rupees in cash. 3,20,000 I have adjusted from this particular figure, and a total of 4 lakh has been received, being amount of allotment received. I hope I am clear. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है यहाँ तक. Now we are moving on to the next step, that is the fifth entry, जहाँ पर फर्स्ट एंड फाइनल कॉल की पेमेंट रिसीव करेंगे. पहले हम ड्यू कर लेते हैं. इक्विटी शेयर फर्स्ट एंड फाइनल कॉल डेबिट to equity share capital account, that comes out to be 3 lakh rupees, right. ये कैसे निकाला? 1 lakh into 3, being amount due on first call, right. The next thing that we are supposed to do is pass on the journal entry for bank account, right. For that again we need to make a working note. So we'll make out a working note number 2, that is calculation of amount to be received on first call. Amount due to receive is 3 lakh rupees minus the excess that we have already received is 20,000 into 3, that is 60,000. That gives me a total of 2,40,000. इसमें से हम माइनस कर देंगे अनपेड बाय शेयर होल्डर, राइट. एक शेयर होल्डर ने अनपे करा है, राइट. उसे 160 शेयर के हिसाब से 3 रुपये के हिसाब से पे करना था. सो उसे 480 रुपये पे करने थे जो उसने पे नहीं करे. तो इन टोटालिटी वी हैव रिसीव्ड 2,39,520 रुपीज़. सिंपल. another very important mistake that a student can commit is यहाँ पर काफ़ी लोग excess minus कर देते हैं. No, there is no need. कॉन्सेप्ट में आपको क्लियरली बताया गया था कि जब फर्स्ट कॉल में एक्सेस अमाउंट रिसीवेबल है ही नहीं, एडजस्टेबल है ही नहीं, सो व्हाई विल यू सब्ट्रैक्ट इट फ्रॉम हियर. 160 शेयर्स पे 3 रुपये उसने पे नहीं करे, उसे इतने ही पे करने थे लेकिन उसने अभी तक पे नहीं करे. सो वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू सब्ट्रैक्ट द एक्सेस अमाउंट रिसीवेबल, राइट. वी कैन पास ऑन दिस जर्नल एंट्री. बैंक अकाउंट डेबिट, calls in advance account debit, calls in arrear account debit to equity share first and final call. Now, so the bank account is 2,39,520. Calls in advance will be 60,000. Calls in arrear will be 480 and इन सब का टोटल मिलाकर आ रहा होगा 3 लाख रुपीस. Being amount received on first call. Now the next thing that we have to do in this question is we have to forfeit the equity shares. Now we know there are 160 shares to be forfeited, so equity share capital account debit. There is no security premium to share forfeiture. टू कॉल्स इन अरियर. हमने भी कॉल्स इन अरियर कैलकुलेट किया था. एज इट इज़ अमाउंट कॉपी कर सकते हैं हम. 480 160 into, since the entire amount was called on, 1600, so the remaining amount, that is 1600 minus 480, that will be 1120 will be receivable. वो हम ऑलरेडी रिसीव कर चुके हैं, being 160 shares forfeited. Now the question says that these shares were forfeited at 15 rupees. So we are going to pass on the entry for reissue. Bank account debit to equity share capital account to security premium. Why security premium? Because these shares are issued at rupees 15 per share, है ना. So you have 160 into 15, right? So that comes out to be how much? 2400. So this comes out to be 1600, this comes out to be 800. This is 160 into 5, this is 160 into 10. Last but not the least, the entry for capital reserve. Share forfeiture account debit to capital reserve, being amount transferred. What will be the amount? The entire amount of 1120 will be transferred. Right. So now we are moving on to part B of your paper. We are moving on to question number 18, your unmarked question from cash flow statement. Short-term investments are not considered while preparing cash flow statements. Why? Now we know short-term investments, या जिन्हें हम कहते हैं marketable securities, या फिर जैसे हम कहते हैं current investments, वो कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स का पार्ट होता है, इसीलिए उन्हें हम 3 एक्टिविटीज़ में कंसिडर नहीं करते और कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बनाते वक्त कंसिडर नहीं करते, राइट. सो वी आर जस्ट गोइंग टू राइट दिस इन द सॉल्यूशन. Part B, answer number 18. Since the question uses the term short-term investments, so I'm going to use the same. Short-term investments are a part of cash and cash equivalents so they are not considered while preparing cash flow statements. Now we are moving on to question number 19. Question number 19 says कि अगर हमारे net increase in working capital other than cash and cash equivalents will increase, decrease or not change cash flow from operating activities. Okay, before actually explaining this particular part of the question, let me just quickly discuss. Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. That means अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं वर्किंग कैपिटल के इंक्रीज होने की, तो हम एक ऐसी सिचुएशन की बात कर रहे हैं जहाँ पर करंट एसेट्स इंक्रीज हो रहा है, करंट लायबिलिटीज रिड्यूस हो रहा है, राइट? जहाँ पे करंट लायबिलिटीज रिड्यूस हो रहा है. सो अगर हमारे करंट एसेट्स इंक्रीज होते हैं, करंट लायबिलिटीज रिड्यूस होते हैं, तो इट विल रिजल्ट इन कैश इनफ्लो. What will it result in? Cash inflow. So the answer is very obvious that it will increase our cash flow from operating activities. So you can write down the answer. Net increase in working capital increases our current assets and reduces current liabilities, hence cash flow from operating activity increases. Right? I hope it's clear. Now moving on to the next question. Question number 20. State the objectives of financial statement analysis. Right? Basic, simple, straightforward theory question. कोई इसमें दिमाग लगाने का सेंस ही नहीं है. Right? This question was a 4-mark question, so you had to state any 4 of the objectives. Right? So I'm just writing all the objectives. Objectives of financial statement analysis are: number 1, it helps in assessing the solvency position of the firm. Second, it helps in conduct of meaningful comparisons of financial data over time. Third objective can be it helps to determine profitability and earning capacity of a business. And last objective can be it helps in formulating plans that helps in better control of firm. Right? A straightforward 4-mark question. कुछ ज़्यादा इसमें कुछ था नहीं. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 21. The question from ratio analysis. You are given that the quick ratio is 0.8:1. आपको reasons के साथ state करना है कि following transaction से आपका जो ratio है वो increase होगा, decrease होगा और it will not change. The first transaction given to you, purchase of loose tools of rupees 2000. So इसका first part, right? इसमें आपके क्विक एसेट्स जो है वो रिड्यूस कर जाएंगे बाय रुपीज़ 2000, राइट. हेंस क्विक रेशियो will also reduce, decrease. Second part says insurance premium paid in advance rupees 500. अगर हम इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम एडवांस में पे करते हैं तो हमारे जो क्विक एसेट्स हैं, हमारी एक करंट एसेट जो है वो रिड्यूस हो रही है क्योंकि हम एक क्विक एसेट्स जो हैं वो रिड्यूस हो रहे हैं बिकॉज कैश इज़ गोइंग आउट ऑफ द कंपनी. सो सिंस हमारे क्विक एसेट्स जो हैं वो रिड्यूस हो रहे हैं बाय रुपीज़ 500, सो हमारा क्विक रेशियो जो है वो भी रिड्यूस होगा. नाउ इन एग्जामिनेशंस यू आर गोइंग टू यूज़, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू यूज़ दीज एरोज. दिस एरो की जगह पे आप यूज़ करेंगे वर्ड decreases, right? This is just for the understanding. I am making you write in this way. The third part says sale of goods on credit rupees 3000. अगर हम 3000 से गुड्स को सेल आउट करते हैं तो हमारे डेटर्स जो हैं वो इंक्रीज़ होते हैं. डेटर्स हमारे पार्ट ऑफ क्विक एसेट्स होते हैं, राइट. हमारे डेटर्स आर अ पार्ट ऑफ क्विक एसेट्स, तो हमारे क्विक एसेट्स इंक्रीज़ होंगे. इफ़ आर क्विक एसेट्स आर इंक्रीजिंग तो हमारा जो क्विक रेशियो है वो भी इम्प्रूव होगा, इट विल गेट बेटर. Last but not the least, fourth part, honored a bill payable rupees 5000 on maturity. हमारे जो क्विक एसेट्स हैं जिसमें एक अमाउंट होगा बिल्स, हमारा उसमें एक एसेट होगा दैट इज़ कैश, वो रिड्यूस हो जाएगा बिकॉज हम पैसा अब पे ऑफ कर रहे हैं. ऑल्सो हमारी जो करंट लाइबिलिटी है वो भी डिक्रीज़ हो जाएगी और दोनों के दोनों रुपीज़ 5000 से रिड्यूस होंगे, राइट. सो क्योंकि दोनों में ही इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है, सो हमारा जो क्विक रेशियो है वो भी रिड्यूस होगा, इट विल ऑल्सो reduce. Now in this particular question you need to remember one very important aspect. आप जब पार्ट 1 और पार्ट 2 लिखेंगे, पार्ट 1 और पार्ट 2 में जब आप आंसर करेंगे, you need to remember that क्विक एसेट्स जो हैं, क्विक एसेट्स की डेफिनेशन में स्टॉक, राइट, if you remember stock, prepaid expenses and loose tools, they are excluded, right. तो यहाँ पर हम जो ये रिडक्शन की बात कर रहे हैं ये क्या है, ये कैश है. हमारे दोनों ही केसेस में कैश रिड्यूस हो रहा है, इस वजह से हमारा जो रेशियो है वो रिड्यूस हो रहा है, राइट. Moving on to the next question, question number 22, that is another 4-mark question from your part B. Very simple question, कुछ भी नहीं है इस question में करने लायक, बहुत ही बेसिक question है, बस पढ़ने में टाइम लगेगा. Financial statements are prepared following consistent accounting concepts, principles, procedures, and the legal environment in which the business organizations operate. These statements are the sources of information on the basis of which conclusions are drawn about the profitability, financial position of a company, so that their users can easily understand and use them in their economic decisions in a meaningful way. From the above statement, identify any two values that a company should observe while preparing its financial statements. तो मतलब 2 मार्क्स का तो ये हो गया वैल्यू बेस्ड क्वेश्चन. उसके अलावा आपको बोला है also state under which major heads and subheadings the following items will be presented in the balance sheet of a company as per Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. General reserve, short-term loans and advances, capital work in progress and design. तो चलिए फिर इसको आंसर करते हैं. आंसर नंबर 22, द सेकेंड लास्ट क्वेश्चन. जनरल रिजर्व जो है वो आपकी मेन हेडिंग एंड सब हेडिंग, यू कैन मेक अप अ कॉलम इस टाइप से. तो आप यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं जनरल रिजर्व, मेन हेडिंग है शेयर होल्डर्स फंड, राइट, एंड सब हेडिंग है रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस. The second part, that is short-term loans and advances. इसकी मेन हेडिंग है करंट लायबिलिटी और सब हेडिंग है शॉर्ट टर्म बोरोइंग्स, राइट. नाउ मूविंग ऑन टू द थर्ड पार्ट, कैपिटल वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस. This is a part of non-current assets under the heading fixed assets. The last part is design. Now design usually आपके intangible assets होते हैं, so again non-current assets under fixed assets जहाँ पर हम heading देते हैं intangible assets की, right. अब इस पार्ट का इस क्वेश्चन का सेकेंड पार्ट, वैल्यूज. तो हमें 2 वैल्यूज बोली हैं. तो पहली वैल्यू होगी दैट द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स शुड बी ड्रॉन following all the basic concepts, fundamentals, policies, principles laid by the institutions. And the second value that can be drawn is the financial statements must follow clear and ethical framework. राइट. इसमें आप और भी चीज़ें लिख सकते थे कि लीगली करेक्ट होना चाहिए, सारे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस फॉलो करना चाहिए, राइट. तो आप कोई भी बेसिक इसमें पॉइंट्स लिख सकते थे. Moving on to the last question of this paper, question number 23 from cash flow statement, the 6-mark question. Following is the balance sheet of RS Limited. आपको balance sheet दे रखी है, shareholders fund, share capital, reserve surplus, long-term borrowing, short-term borrowings, short-term provisions. Then you're further given asset side, non-current assets, fixed assets, tangible, intangible, current assets, notes to accounts में reserves and surplus में you have statement of P&L account, long-term borrowings में debenture, short-term borrowings में bank overdraft. You have bank overdraft, then you have proposed dividend, machinery, accumulated depreciation, intangible assets. May you have goodwill, very long question. Goodwill, then you have inventories में stock in trade. आपको कुछ additional information भी दे रखी है. ₹1 लाख 12% डिबेंचर्स. अगर आप देखेंगे डिबेंचर्स में 12% डिबेंचर्स 1 लाख रुपए से इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं. So 12% debentures were issued on 31/3/2016. That means हम इंटरेस्ट जो पे ऑफ करेंगे वो 3.5 लाख डिबेंचर्स पे ऑफ करेंगे. एक मशीनरी पे रिलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन से रिलेटेड सेल पे से रिलेटेड एक एडजस्टमेंट दे रखी है. आपको कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बनाने के लिए बोला है. स्टार्ट करते हैं. इट इज़ अ वेरी बेसिक एंड सिंपल क्वेश्चन. कुछ ऐसा खास इस क्वेश्चन में है नहीं. So let's start making out this cash flow statement. Cash flow statement for the year 31/3/2016. We make an amount column, we make a working column, and we have a particulars column. Right, this is our amount column, this is our working column, this is our particulars column. The first thing that we have is cash flow from operating activities. I'm using some short forms, right? So first thing that we are going to have is statement of P&L account. Right, statement of P&L account. So it comes out to be 1,50,000. फिर उसके बाद there has been some transfer to proposed dividend. Right, general reserve वगैरह कुछ है नहीं. So ये आएगा 2 लाख रुपीस. So total comes out to be 3,50,000. So profit before taxation comes out to be 3,50,000. The next thing is items to be added. Right, इसमें सबसे पहला item होगा goodwill, that is written off. As you can see, goodwill जो है वो write off हो रही है intangible assets में, that is of 50,000 rupees. Then you also have debentures pay interest. Right, debentures pay interest is 3,50,000 debentures पे 12%. 3,50,000 debentures पे 12%. Since question ने clearly कह दिया तो अब हमें कुछ assumption करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. Depreciation is what we have to calculate, right? Now before we actually move on, हम depreciation का point cover up कर लेते हैं. उसके लिए हमें एक account बनाना पड़ेगा, right? Machinery account and accumulated depreciation account. Let's prepare that. So let's prepare the machinery account first. Let's prepare the machinery account. You've been given balance brought down and you've been given balance carried down. You've been given to balance brought down, that is 10,55,000. Right. You're also given balance CD 16,75,000. You also have to prepare an accumulated depreciation account. Right, ये तो एक फॉर्मेलिटी का अकाउंट होता है, if you know. छोटा सा अकाउंट बनाना पड़ता है हमें ये. राइट। इसका बैलेंस ब्रॉट डाउन होता है, हमें गिवन है 1,40,000 और टू बैलेंस CD भी हमें गिवन है, it's given to us in the question 2,10,000, right? Now the question it's clearly given that during the year a piece of machinery costing 80,000 on which accumulated depreciation is 40,000, तो 40,000 रुपीज़ का depreciation है, तो टू मशीनरी में हम इसको ट्रांसफ़र कर देंगे, राइट। 40,000 रुपये हम टू मशीनरी में ट्रांसफ़र कर देंगे। मशीनरी अकाउंट यहाँ पर भी आप रिसीव कर सकते हो बाय एक्यूमुलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन अकाउंट 40,000, और इसे हमने सेल किया है एट अ लॉस ऑफ 10,000 रुपीज़ के, राइट। तो दैट मीन्स मैंने इस एसेट को कितने रुपए में बेचा है, मैंने इस एसेट को कितने रुपए में बेचा है, 80,000 का एसेट है जिसपे 40,000 रुपये की डेप्रिसिएशन है और 10,000 रुपये का लॉस है, तो मैंने इस एसेट को 30,000 रुपीज़ में सेल आउट किया है। आई होप यहाँ तक किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, राइट। हम यहाँ के बैलेंसेस ढूंढ सकते हैं बाय P&L अकाउंट, ये हम P&L अकाउंट में ट्रांसफ़र करेंगे, ये वो अमाउंट है जो हमने डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज किया है, राइट। सो दिस इज़ 2,50,000, so this comes out to be 1,10,000, so 2,50,000। इन द सेम वे हम इस अकाउंट का भी टोटल कर देंगे, इसका टोटल आएगा 17,55,000 एंड यहाँ पर बैलेंसिंग फिगर आ जाएगा, राइट। तो इसका बैलेंसिंग फिगर का हम क्या करेंगे, दिस इज परचेज, राइट। सो in this part now we can write depreciation charged is 1,10,000 and loss on sale is 10,000. This is given to us in the question, right? Further, this comes out to be 2,12,000. We get 5,62,000. Also, what is this? Operating profit before working capital changes. हम यहाँ पे माइनस करेंगे, देयर इज़ अ रिडक्शन इन इन्वेंट्री, इन्वेंट्री में रिडक्शन है तो हम इसे सब्ट्रैक्ट करेंगे, इन्वेंट्री में रिडक्शन है 50,000 से। एट द सेम वे और कोई करंट एसेट हमारा है नहीं जिसमें कुछ रिडक्शन है, तो हम इसे रिड्यूस कर देते हैं, तो वी गेट 5,12,000। सो व्हाट इज दिस? नेट कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज, राइट, सॉरी, नेट कैश जनरेटेड ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज। इसमें से हम माइनस कर देंगे टैक्स पेड, that is not given to you in the question, so this comes out to be 5,12,000. that becomes your cash flow from operating activities, right? Moving on to the B part, that is cash flow from investing activities। इसमें एक आएगा सेल ऑफ मशीनरी, परचेज ऑफ मशीनरी, राइट। एंड फर्दर अगर आप देखेंगे एक फिक्स्ड एसेट में नॉन करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स भी हैं, सो यू आल्सो हैव परचेज ऑफ नॉन करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, राइट। सो 30,000 पॉजिटिव में, 7 लाख नेगेटिव में एंड 50,000 नेगेटिव में, comes out to be 7,20,000 negative में. So this is cash used in investing activities, right? Moving on to the C part, cash flow from financing activity, right? Financing activity का cash flow हम एक बार quickly cover up कर लेते हैं. Financing activity में सबसे पहले है issue of shares, that is I think so around 2 lakh rupees has been issued, right? There has been 2 lakh rupees has been issued. Moreover, there has been an increase in bank OD, right? बैंक OD भी बढ़ गया है, कितना 75,000 से, right? फर्दर अगर आप देखेंगे तो इसमें हमने एक पे किया है इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिबेंचर्स, दैट इज 42,000 रुपीज़, और हमने डिबेंचर्स इशू करे हैं 1 लाख रुपीज़ के, और डिविडेंड्स पे किया है, डिविडेंड्स हमने पे करे हैं ऑफ 1,25,000 रुपीज़. तो हमारा जो नेट प्रोसीड्स आए हैं वो आए हैं 2,08,000. सो दिस इज कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटीज़. तो नेट प्रोसीड्स आपके आ गए, नेट प्रोसीड्स A प्लस B प्लस C, राइट? वो आपके आ गए हैं, अगर आप नेट इंक्रीज एंड डिक्रीज देखेंगे तो वो आपके आ रहे होंगे 0 नील, जिसमें आप ऐड कर देंगे ओपनिंग कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स, राइट? इसमें याद रखेंगे मार्केटेबल शॉर्ट टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आपको गिवन है क्वेश्चन में, राइट? तो उन्हें भी ध्यान से डील करेंगे, राइट? आपको करंट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स गिवन है क्वेश्चन में, तो उन्हें भी ढंग से अच्छे से डील करेंगे, राइट? तो दैट इज 1,13,000. दिस इज इक्वल टू क्लोजिंग कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स 1,13,000, right? This is 73,000 plus 40,000, and this is 40,000 and 73,000, right? So hence your cash flow is done. It was a very simple question, not at all a time consuming question, very basic question, जिसकी cash flow में थोड़ी सी भी practice अच्छी है वो आराम से इस question को कर पाया होगा.